Welcome and thanks for joining us. My guest today is Campbell Webb, the Senior Vice President of Platform Engineering at Workday. Campbell, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. And so, we've been talking about how federal agencies are at different starting points when they're talking about moving to the cloud, adopting cloud technologies. Many agencies are really, working off of legacy systems that were implemented decades ago. So as they're looking to modernize, what are some of the key things in general you think they should be evaluating as they look to buy enterprise software?
Yeah, it's a great question. A lot of agencies today are obviously executing a digital transformation. And so I think it's really imperative as they move these services to the public cloud, they should seek enterprise SaaS services that can be co-located alongside those enterprise apps. I think this simplifies the integration process, it improves performance, security, and it really negates the need to copy large amounts of data across multiple silos, which really isn't ideal. And it allows you to maintain that single system of record for your most sensitive data, like HCM data or finance information. But you also want to select a technology that employs a modern development pipeline. We sometimes call this CI/CD, where new features or bug fixes or even security patches are applied to your service incrementally each week without downtime. And this is really critical with day zero security events. And we saw this most recently with obviously Log4j, which a lot of people in the industry are very much aware of. The service also should have a modern API that supports integrations. But I think more importantly, the service needs to be extensible. You need to be able to provide a development platform that supports the creation of custom applications or reports when necessary, but still maintain the same security model as the base service. And then, of course, everyone wants a modern browser and mobile UI experience that resembles many of the consumer applications that we use in our daily lives. And I think with an intuitive UI and effective search capability, it really makes implementing the application much more seamless.
So we just talked about, you just talked about some of the general technology specs, I guess, that agencies should kind of be looking for. But of course, each one kind of comes with their own specific set of requirements, mission needs. How can leaders kind of evaluate things also from the people and business centric perspective and not just look at kind of a list of tech specs?
Yeah, it's really important. You should look at price and the contract terms, but I don't think the relationship should be purely transactional when selecting an enterprise SaaS provider. I think it's equally important to develop a close working relationship or partnership with your enterprise SaaS provider and really understand their vision, their culture, their value system, or even how they contribute to the community. I think many of these attributes provide you insight into the SaaS provider's philosophy around empathy and customer service, or just acting with integrity and delivering on commitments. It also provides you insight into whether the enterprise SaaS provider, generally understands your business, the challenges you're facing, and cares about whether you succeed or fail. And it's important to understand that how an enterprise SaaS provider treats its own employees. At Workday, we believe that if you invest in the employee experience, you'll get the best out of those employees. They'll act with passion, they'll take pride in their daily activities, and that's really going to result in a premium service offering for the customer.
And Campbell, we see a lot of times in government that there's really a long buildup to an IT modernization initiative. And then by the time it comes to fruition, the technology has evolved and agencies can fall behind. So, how can agencies ensure that they're building effective IT programs from now and into the future to adapt to how technology will inevitably evolve?
Yeah, we have seen that a lot, and it is a problem. And I think there's a couple of things you could think about when selecting, a SaaS service. And especially you want to focus on one that has a modern platform that can quickly adapt to the changing nature of business. I think that's critically important. I'll give you a couple of examples of that. Today employees seek flexible working hours, and it could be in the form of gigs, part-time work, or even remote work. And this change impacts everything from how you perform talent acquisition to reporting and payroll. And so you need to be able to be empowered to make the changes to adapt your business flows really quickly within the application. I think another good example is just the market we're all living in right now and how difficult it is to attract, develop, and retain talent. And again, it makes you rethink about how to accelerate that onboarding experience. You know, you want to be able to automatically publish job requisitions to multiple listing services, or employ ML to, you know, give you some sort of, I guess, recommendation on where to seek talent, what cities, what regions, or use ML even to provide comp guidance. And you want to streamline the workflow approval process, maybe by limiting the number of approvers required to allow a new candidate to be onboarded. And so again, these are changes you need to make within the application, and it needs to be simple. And then even finally, when establishing diversity programs, you need strong analytical capabilities to quickly identify, the dichotomy of your workforce, enabling the development of, targeting recruiting strategies, and then maybe measure the impact of those strategies in part through employee sentiment analysis. So those are some examples of where you really need a dynamic platform. It's also critically important that you select a service that can grow with your organization. Whether you're only a few employees or 1 million employees, you really want an enterprise SaaS solution that maintains the same code base throughout. And this is going to avoid a lot of unnecessary system integrator engagements and a lot more testing. It also allows you to quickly migrate your application should it be needed between, say, boundaries. Say you're moving from a FedRAMP moderate boundary to a FedRAMP high boundary, or even moving across regions. You want that to be a really seamless exercise. So there's some tips of how you can go about future-proofing your organization.
And Campbell, you mentioned FedRAMP. I understand that Workday recently got through the FedRAMP process. That's, of course, the government's standardized approach to assessing the security of cloud services. What did you learn from that experience? What were some of the big takeaways that you can share with us?
Yeah, I think every time I've embarked on a FedRAMP accreditation, I've always learned something new. It's always been an opportunity to really validate your controls and ensure they're really working as intended. I personally view it as a good hygiene exercise, and I recommend everyone kind of do it once in a while. And why it's necessary to attain the ATO, it really benefits also our commercial customers. Given at Workday, we have a single code base, a single operating model for our customers. So all those FedRAMP controls that we've put in place actually benefit our commercial customers as well. So I think that's a really great story. Also, just looking back on the entire process itself, I was really impressed by the engineering work that the team completed during the last 12 months to make sure that we were compliant with a lot of the controls. They really created some cool tech, whether it was encrypting data in memory before writing it to our persistent storage, or just the creation of a security mesh that encrypted all our traffic moving between our microservices. And also the ability just to patch our Linux and Kubernetes platforms without any downtime. I mean, at the end of the day, these are all attributes of a modern SaaS service offering.
Got it. Well, in the 30 seconds we have left, do you have anything else that you can leave us with in terms of how agencies can continue to kind of improve their employee experience using cloud technologies in the future?
Yeah, I think take a good look at what's coming out with a lot of the service providers, especially like Workday in the SaaS world. I think we're all moving a little bit closer to a consumer-based service offering. And I think a lot of the capabilities are very compelling. They're certainly very easy to use. They're rich in functionality. They solve a lot of the business problems that agencies are facing today. And I think it's important too, when you actually select a provider, you want to select someone who's going to be a really good partner and who's going to be with you throughout any sort of transformation that you might be executing.
Got it. All right. Well, again, thank you for joining me today, Campbell. I appreciate it.
No, it's been great being here. Thanks so much for your time.
All right. And again, I'd like to thank today's guest, Campbell Webb, the Senior Vice President of Platform Engineering at Workday. I'm your moderator, Justin Doubleday, and you're watching the Cloud Exchange on Federal News Network. Now let me send you back to the studio for more on the Cloud Exchange.